Hello everybody and welcome back to the And More Bus Videos YouTube channel. I'm And More Bus Videos, otherwise known as And More Central, depending on what day of the week we're on. And welcome back to the Westcountry version 3.03 with, yes, a Blackburn bus. We'll ignore the fact that it's a random Blackburn bus here. I'll explain why I chose this livery and vehicle very shortly. But in this video, we're going to continue our little look through the Westcountry version 3.03 in the latest update to show you all the finished Route 1A. So in the previous videos, we did the 35, had a little look at how that has been changed and sort of how it's been weirdly done with the terminus and circular bit off to the terminus. I've seen them before in places that are having work done that I thought was a little bit different but took me by surprise. We've also had a look at the 1B that was finished, and now we're going to look at the 1A. The 1A goes the opposite way around to the 1B. It's an anti-clockwise circular denoting the number 1A. So the letter A means basically anti-clockwise. So we're going to have a little drive of this and see what it's like and sort of see the differences between the base release that we were very, very lucky and privileged to drive, and I was privileged to showcase to you all, and obviously see what's different and see what we might have missed when we drove the 1B going in the other way round. So get the bus all set up now. There we go. And now I've just realised that that's a ticketing machine and I haven't remembered the login, but we're just going to ignore that and go. Everybody can get a free ride today. So I'll move it round, just round the corner again. I haven't got anybody waiting here. I do know as well that a patch has been released for Westcountry. It's literally been released as I begin to film this. That I will be downloading in due course. There is a screenshot showing people jumping off the bus here at the bus station, so I don't know if people will start loading in here as well, and we'll just have to see. But we'll also get the 1B blind set up. I prefer to do when I've got the 1B or 1A, prefer to do it manually, although we are doing the 1A, not the 1B. Just automatically put in the other one. So there we go, and we'll make sure that's loaded up. Brilliant. Get a nice screenshot before we go, just in case I forget. And we'll make a move. To say there's no way that we're going to make it round that mini roundabout. Optimism, but it wasn't going to happen, unfortunately. So with it being sort of 8:51 and concessionary passes generally speaking come into effect either at 9 o'clock or 9:30, we might start getting busy on this round. It is slightly realistic not picking anybody up from the town centre, as I would imagine that this is what would happen anyway on a service at this time. But I am hoping that they have sorted out some people loading at the bus station, because it would be nice, as otherwise this bus is probably never going to pick anybody up in the town centre. So initially I was going to drive the street deck for this one, as sort of a comparison to the B5 that we drove around last time. But I thought I fancied something a little bit more retro, something a little bit more different, and when I loaded in the vehicles, the P10.02 spec was the first one to come up, and I thought, yeah, we'll give it a go, we'll have a little drive with it, I don't see why not, in the Blackburn Bus Company livery. Now, Transdev have had a major management reshuffle recently that has also seen a requirement to reduce the business size due to extensive financial losses. It's seen quite a lot of different vehicles transferring to different places. There's been a few contract losses that have allowed this to happen, and it's been what would arguably be seen as the rise of the Mellow Stratas. So out of nowhere, all of these Mellow Strata Ultras have become available. Some have gone to Keighley, some are in Rosso in Bury, predominantly on the Bury Bolt services. Some have gone to Burnley, or remained at Burnley, should we say. And then there's some in Pride of the North livery that we presume are either going to be staying at Burnley, or potentially going over to Team Pennine. So, or potentially even, should I say, York. You never quite know. So I know that there was some initially spotted, I think it was at York or was it Malton. So potentially the Ultras could end up there as well. You never quite know. Just have to wait and see what happens. But on that sort of note of things, these vehicles, the Renowns, were supposed to be ushered out from Burnley. Burnley still has, I believe, about 2 or 3 examples in use, alongside a range of Solos, MANE 300s, Stratas, absolutely all sorts at the moment, that sort of changes in comparison to the standard B10s. Arguably, when you're running a company that you're trying to save money on, you kind of want to stay with the same type of bus at each depot to obviously save money on parts transfers and things like that, and loan vehicles, because you want everything to be on the road. So the move to sort of pretty much de-standardise the fleet was quite an interesting one. Personally, not something I would have done. We'll see if it's a nice screenshot here. Oh, that lighting's a bit better on that side, but... Oh, don't want to do that. There we go. It's because I've got a slightly different drive set up for this and the next few videos. That's why it's confusing me a little bit. I'll see if this works, because oh, there we go. That looks the part. I like that. And there we go. That's probably going to be the screenshot for the thumbnail. So yeah, with that in mind, Burnley is down to a very, very small number of B10BLE Renowns. Pretty much Transdev is now the only operator that uses Renowns in regular public service in the sort of rather high numbers that they still have them. So they're down to about three or so Renowns ish at Burnley. There we go. And Blackburn is still reducing on their numbers as well. Quite a number of Valley Line Renowns, the older ex-Reggers, have gone for scrap already. They've been spotted in the scrapyard. They've got, I believe, 1073 still running, 1092 still running, 1092 being a PR51, and then they've still got a number of these O2 plates, like the one that I'm driving now. I've still got a number of these in use. Don't know how long for, unfortunately, but there is still a number of these in use at Blackburn in blue. So, hope they last a longer rather than a shorter period of time, but obviously, as they cut back on services and the operation as a whole, more vehicles will become available, and so they might replace them very, very soon. So if you are wanting to sample B10BLE Renowns in service, the time is now. Head over to Blackburn and Burnley and get the ones in while you can. because, as I say, I can't imagine them clinging on for too long, even though the said Renowns in Blackburn on the Valley Line, and even the ones in Burnley do tend to go out on a Sunday, and that I thought was quite an interesting thing. They tend to prefer to pull them out in Sunday service. It does also kind of prove just how reliable they are. Now that was a very, very undercover police car, was that? It decided not to load in just until we got very, very close to it. It's part of the new police technology, where the car doesn't load in until you get really, really close. So usually when you see a caravan like that indicating, you kind of go around the roundabout, but because it's OMSI, I daredn't, because you never quite know if the car's indicating the wrong way, if it's a different path. I mean, OMSI 2 is not particularly inclined for roundabouts. As we discussed in the previous video, it's not a fan of roundabouts, is OMSI, unfortunately. This is the one thing I hate about these doors, is you do have to hold them down. I mean, it is realistic to how these vehicles do sometimes perform in later life, but it is also quite annoying when you don't hold it down for just quite long enough. Didn't want to mount the curb, but I'd rather slightly mount the curb than destroy that person's Ford. So I'm also driving this because we're very, very close to the release of a brand new Transdev repaint pack. The incredibly talented This Is Alex has just worked on a very, very in-depth and highly detailed Transdev and Blazefield Harrogate and District, or Harrogate Bus Company repaint pack. The repaints that they've done includes every single livery the B10BLE Renowns have worn in Harrogate. That is under the original Blazefield name when it was Harrogate and District, on the transfer purchased by Transdev, and under the entire brand transformation to the Harrogate Bus Company. It includes all your repaints of your general liveries throughout this period, your local liveries and specific route brands throughout this period, and includes the repaints that the vehicles wore just before they were replaced in more recent times. It's a repaint pack that I'm incredibly excited about. This Is Alex has always done tremendous repaints. Absolutely love their first West Yorkshire Street Deck repaint pack. And the Eclipse ones as well, and the Veiling ones are absolutely spot on. So the Harrogate one is just only going to contribute to just how amazing these local Yorkshire related repaints are. I'm very, very excited about it. When it does get released, I can almost guarantee I will be driving this bus quite a lot, showcasing off all the different liveries, because it is something that I've also witnessed firsthand. having sort of seen most of the repaints, and back in the day collected timetables that also had photos of the buses on, because that used to be a thing with not first bus, with Transdev, the Blazefield era, where they used to put a photo of the bus that that was supposed to be on that route on the front. And yes, it wouldn't always be the case, but it was always quite good for obviously customers to be able to see what vehicle it was, and it was also quite cool for the operator to show off their buses. That from an enthusiast perspective, whereas for me as a young'un, was quite exciting collecting all these timetables with pictures of buses on the front. So I'll be quite excited to see them. I think I'm especially looking forward to the Transdev Harrogate liveries, the yellowy and beige ones. I'm very excited about them. That's a lot more my era. I did like the newer repaints, don't get me wrong. The newer livery for the Harrogate Bus Company was alright. It looks rather posh. Sort of, especially for the Renowns and things, although I must say it did suit them, especially the ones that had the headlight work done, just like this vehicle where they've got, if I'm just very quick, where they've got these round headlights instead of your block ones, and so it did suit them quite well. And I did, as I say, prefer the old yellowy and beige livery. I think it was sort of like a goldy colour and beige, or gold and bronze probably. I'm looking forward to that, especially with the one branding as well, because the Renown used to be branded for the one before they were replaced. Well, they were replaced at that time by Eclipses when it went to the Harrogate Bus Company livery. So, as I say, it'd be quite nice to drive them in that proper Transdev Harrogate livery. Because you've got to remember as well, as in that period, as well as having the Renowns, they did also have B10BLEs, did Harrogate. You won't believe it nowadays with all of their electric Volvos going around, but they did used to have B10BLE Crusader buses, low floor ones as well. Unfortunately, I never managed to go on any of them. I wouldn't have minded to, but never managed them. They were very interesting vehicles, and they worked quite well alongside the B10s. So I don't know if there's any of them still in existence. There's probably the odd one lurking somewhere with an independent, because they did manage to sell the majority, if not all of them, off to other operators, because they did withdraw them quite early on for that type of vehicle. So they withdrew them in the sweet spot before everybody started withdrawing them, and obviously the price then went down, so they sold them off quite well. I know that Catch 22 / Classic Bus Northwest / Coastliner Buses / Now Transpora purchased a couple. They don't have them anymore, but they did purchase a few, and quite remarkably, at the time when they were running their Blackpool to Manchester service, they used to actually send the B6s to Manchester, and sometimes they didn't make it. I remember passing, I think it was one back in the day on the hard shoulder of the M61 while I was on the way to Blackpool many years ago, so sometimes they didn't actually make it, but it was quite an optimistic and bold decision to send those B6s there on the Blackpool to Manchester service. I also know that they did send their PS types on them that arguably performed a lot better, because they are PS types, and they did also send Bendibus Sataros on there as well. So the Blackpool to Manchester route did have some variety on it, it must be said. I do have a few photos of the B6s somewhere. I quite don't know where they are, but I definitely do have some photos of them. They were very, as I say, very interesting vehicle choice, but back in the day, Blazefield were always quite adventurous with vehicles and quite unique. I mean, it's the same company that obviously Transdev kept their Leyland Olympians that they'd purchased, the HGGSs, and they'd kept them running on school services. Right up even after the Disability Discrimination Act changes had come in. And to get around that for about 6 months, they re-registered a load of the open door public school bus runs into private runs, just so they could continue to run the Olympians. That I thought was quite ambitious, so to speak. So yeah, this is definitely the edit. Although I'll say that there's quite a lot of people staying on the bus, so I think most of them might get off at the bus station. We'll just have to see. Although yeah, the bell has been rung, so hopefully they'll jump off at the bus station. Because they better know that I'm not going round again. I think one loop for now is enough. Although when I do have a few hours free at some point, these will be absolutely lovely routes to just go around and round on. Ended up a little bit early, but not as bad as we were on the first run that I did on here. Certainly not as bad as that. Oh, there's people. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll end off the video there with quite a lot of people jumping off the bus. Hopefully not doing a runner because of my driving, but because they wanted to be here. And we'll end off the video there. So I really hope you've all enjoyed this one. It's quite a nice drive, is the 1A now. I like it as well as the 1B. I think I do prefer the 1B because obviously you go up that hill by, I believe, the hospital. You go up that really big hill up to the... Is it zoo? A zoo or some sort of park when you go up to that other place. But I prefer going up the hill on the 1B rather than going down it, so just a little bit more variety for me. But the 1A is still quite nice. There's still different parts of scenery that you don't notice when you're doing the 1B, and there's nice little bits of variety in it, as well as the fact that you're able to pass the other service bus going the other direction. So again, you've also got a little bit of activity with other AI traffic. For now though, anyway, I do hope you've all enjoyed this video. If you have done, do be sure to click that like button so that more people can find it and enjoy like you have. And if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe to the Handball Century, or yeah, you can subscribe to the Handball Century YouTube channel for content from the real life bus industry, as well as subscribing to this channel, the Handball Bus Videos channel, for more content from the simulation section, as well as an archive of over 5,000 backseated engine-focused public transport videos from the UK and beyond. With buses, trams, trains and more, there's something on there for everyone, and I'm adding to that, and with up to 21 videos every single week. So do go and check out the archives on this channel, and as I say, go and check out the main one, Handball Central, for more in-depth analysis of the real-life bus and transport industry. Once again though, I would like to thank you all for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will see you all in the next video, mate. Goodbye for now. Bye.